Hi all. Today we will discuss about naturalism and education. Another fascinating philosophy, naturalism. First of all, see the principles of naturalism. Artificiality is their fighting adjective because they are against artificiality. They are always in favor of natural. So that's the prime or supreme nature for naturalism. Nature is complete in itself. So nature is ultimate. Nothing beyond nature. So they are so strong about nature. So nature is everything. Everything emerges, begins, and ends with nature. So that's the concept of naturalism. The matter and physical world are source of everything. Everything sprouted, begin, emerges in this world and perishes, ends in this world itself, in this nature itself. Not only this world, the nature. Follow the nature is their slogan. So nature sets the rules. So we are bound to follow the rules of nature. We should not violate. So that we have to think about significantly. To what extent we are violating the rules of nature? What was the way of life of our ancestors? How they live? What they did for making a living? Or what the present day men, the human beings, the modern human beings doing? Whether we are exploiting nature. So these are some of the basic questions on on this particular context of discussion on naturalism. So whether we are disrupting nature, so the pandemic, the climate change, all these things, is it due to a repulsion against the unethical human intervention, unwanted human intervention on nature? So that we have to think about. Then the principles of education proposed by naturalism. Naturalism is not a recent philosophy. The history traced back even beyond the period of Socrates. There are eminent philosophers who talk about, who are concerned about this nature and naturalism. So our point of interest is more on education, so I am not going into that part. So the principles of education according to naturalism: child-centered education. That's the first and foremost principle of education according to naturalism. Child-centered. So child as a center. We usually say that our system of education is learner-centered or child-centered. How far it is child-centered? If child is the center, child will have the freedom to choose what to study, when to study, and how to study. So in our learner-centered or child-centered system, we provide certain textbook, we provide certain activities, we have framed timetable, and we teach them directly by oral methods or vocal or verbal things, even for very small children in KG classes. So, what about the child centered education in our context? We have to think about. Then, natural development, the second principle. The education help for the natural development, just as a conversion, the transformation from a bud to a flower. That's the natural development. So, they are against artificiality. External nature and nature of the child, both are equally important. So, the context in which the learner is living, the physical world, the background, the environment, as well as the nature of the child. What is the nature of the child? So, naturalism always talk about two nature, the nature around us and the nature within the individual. So, what is the nature of the child? What are the peculiarities of the child? That's also is important. Then senses are gateways of knowledge. So, training for senses, as in the case of other Western philosophies, they also gave emphasis to sensory training. Senses are gateways of knowledge. Then emphasis on psychological principles. That's the nature of the child we already mentioned earlier. So psychological principles of learning is significant according to naturalism, because education shall be according to the nature of the child. Then the concept of negative education by Rousseau. You might have heard about negative education. Rousseau states, stay away from artificial and traditional system of education, which is adult oriented, imposing adult thoughts in younger minds before they are ready to receive such ideas. So that is negative education. We are artificially doing something, as we discussed earlier. We are providing, we are educating, we are trying to teach something, some ideas of which we are interested, ideas we suppose beneficial for the children. It is not based on their interest or their needs, but the adults, we adults suppose that this is important for children, this they have to learn. It should not be like that. The concept of negative, by concept of negative education, Rousseau strongly against the traditional artificial system of adult oriented education. So his revolutionary statement, burn the books, break the walls of the classrooms, and back to nature. So that's very, very, very significant. We have to discuss about in detail. Because according to him, Rousseau, the books consist of unwanted and unnecessary information not related to life, the present or future life of learners. And the classroom, it restricts the natural development of the learner. And back to nature, the surrounding, the nature of the child. So such kind of education is required. A positive education is required, not a negative one. Then regarding the axiological aspects of naturalism, values developed by individuals. So there is no ultimate values. Everything based on nature. Whatever natural is beautiful, and whatever natural is beautiful, and whatever beautiful is natural. So that's their statement. So that much important on nature. Whatever natural is beautiful, and whatever beautiful is natural. An additional natural came there, so don't consider that. They do not believe in spiritual values. So according to naturalism, everything is nature, so they believed only in natural values, and so naturally values shall be developed by individuals. So the aims of education: self-expression or self-development. Self-expression. Learners need to express what actually they are. That may not be perfection, as in the case of self-actualization. We saw that self-actualization as a perfection, human perfection. It is naturalism doesn't demand such perfection, but expressing the self on the basis of the capacity of the learner, or self-development to the extent to which she or he can attain. Then conditioning of thoughts and feelings. That's another aim of education. Education should help to condition desirable thoughts and feelings. And there are different branches of naturalism: biological naturalism, mechanical naturalism, religious naturalism, different kinds of naturalism. We are not going into the classification of naturalism, but on the basis of this division, these types of naturalism, they each of them propose different kinds of aims. Then perfection of human machine. Human being is considered as a mechanical thing, a machine, work like a human machine. So that perfection of that human machine is another aim of education. Then redirection and remolding of instinct, because all uh, living beings born with a set of instinctual behavior, which help for survival. So by education, we are redirecting and remolding, making it better for human life. And education should help to overcome struggle for existence. That's an aim proposed by biological naturalism. Struggle for existence. You might have heard about the term survival of the fittest, etc., proposed by Darwin. So that struggle for existence, that's another uh, aim of education according to naturalism. And overall, education should help natural development. Then the metaphysical aspects of naturalism, as we already discussed, nature is the ultimate reality. Both the physical nature around us and the nature within, the internal nature, the nature of the learner, nature of the child. Nothing beyond nature. No supernatural powers, no superhuman wonders, nothing like that. Only nature and natural. The rule of nature. Nature is reality. Everything ends and begins and ends with this nature. So the curriculum, child-centered curriculum, because they gave so much importance to child. So to what extent the child-centeredness is addressed in our system of education? That's a point of interest you have to think about. Then curriculum should include subjects and activities for or promote natural development. So that's the nature of curriculum proposed by naturalism. Then faith in experimentation and verification. Because education is, the curriculum is proposed as child-centered. Children naturally as learners engaged in some experimentation and verification. Education curriculum should aim to find out cause and effect. Naturally, no spiritual subjects, no place for spiritual subjects. Science subjects gave emphasis in the curriculum, along with history. Everything has a history. Human beings is the only species having history. So the curriculum, the subjects includes science subjects along with history. So a child-centered curriculum is proposed by naturalism. And the epistemological aspects, the type of knowledge they gave emphasis. They consider senses are gateways of knowledge. So sensory experiences. They never believe in extrasensory experiences. Only experiences subject to sense organs. So they promote empirical knowledge and authoritative knowledge. Knowledge through experiments, experiences, as well as authoritative knowledge. So the method of teaching, methods, child-centered methods in general, learner-centered methods in general, learning through direct experiences. There shall be provision for learning from experiences directly. No verbal lessons. Verbal lessons are not required. Children can learn by their own, by confrontation with direct experiences. Then problem solving, heuristic method, playway method, different kinds of such methods are suggested by naturalism. Then a naturalist teacher. Teacher should be a naturalist first and all. Then only she or he can follow that principles of teaching. Teacher shall be supportive. The role is not prominent, only supportive role, only help the learner as and when demands. So helping the learner. Teacher should love the company of children. That's the only condition they laid for teachers. Love the company of children. Then only they can be supportive and helping for children in their learning. Then complete freedom and self-discipline is the concept of freedom and discipline. There are no restrictions, total freedom, because learner can learn by their own, interact with environment. So complete freedom to do so, and discipline shall be developed in due course. So self-discipline. Then there is a link for additional reading. So that's the end of this presentation on naturalism. So thanks for watching the presentation. Thank you all.